Hello, welcome to the graphical comparison video of the game The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Before we begin, I would like to draw attention to the fact that this video contains sarcasm and should be interpreted carefully. You can decide whether to take the information seriously or not. Firstly, I would like to thank subscriber Labib2002 for another great idea. Today, we will only compare the graphics of the game. As in the previous video where I talked about the performance test, some people commented that the Switch version is superior in terms of resolution, textures, and render distance.
If you want to have the ultimate experience of Breath of the Wild, you need to use the Switch version, as the Switch version has higher resolution, better textures, improved render distance, etc.
When asked about the superiority of the Switch version of Breath of the Wild in terms of resolution and textures, I used to respond that it didn't matter much when you had full control over the graphics settings in Cemu. It is possible to adjust the quality of shadows, render distance, anisotropic filtering, and the distance at which NPCs and trees are rendered, thanks to the various options available in the emulator. In Switch emulators, the only available options are to disable dynamic resolution and control the frame rate. Now, let's see in practice how Cemu and Yuzu, considered the most efficient Switch emulator currently, perform in terms of visuals. We will make a comparison between the default settings and the maximum enhanced settings for both emulators, so that we can have a clear idea of the graphical differences. And before we start, we'd like to ask for your help. If you're enjoying this type of content, please leave a like to help us spread the word.
This video is offered by the members and Patreons of the channel. Thank you for your support.
It is important to clarify that, yes, the default version of Cemu does present a lower game quality compared to Yuzu, for example. However, when we compare the default version of Cemu with the same version at maximum settings, we notice several differences. It is easy to notice the presence of texture and shadow pop-ins when playing with default settings, with shadows and vegetation suddenly appearing close to the player. Additionally, textures may also appear blurry up close, since the anisotropic filter of the Wii U in default settings is only 8x. By using the maximum settings in Cemu, we can enjoy 16x anisotropic filtering, which contributes to a visually enhanced experience. Regarding shadows, I particularly didn't like the model with shadows at maximum. The edges of the shadows become very jagged, compromising the visual quality of the game. Additionally, this option can harm hardware performance in environments with many trees, for example. In my opinion, it's not worth sacrificing some performance for more defined shadows. The rendering distance drastically changes the visual appearance of the game, allowing environments and details to be seen from a much farther distance. This significantly increases the player's curiosity in exploring the game. Now let's make an initial comparison between the Cemu at its maximum settings and the Yuzu with only the mod to disable dynamic resolution. I'm not using any kind of filter that masks shaders or modifies the colors of the game. Although the overall visual quality in Cemu is better than in Yuzu, there is one aspect where Yuzu has the advantage: vegetation density. This is particularly noticeable in areas with many trees and foliage, where Yuzu is able to render more elements.
Hey haters! Are you still going to argue that the game looks infinitely better on Switch emulators? Are you still going to say that the rendered distance and texture quality on Yuzu are better? I'll zoom in so you can see it better. Can you see the details on the floor, the shadows, and the details on the stones? It's all so clear to me now. So when someone asks you what is the best emulator to play The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, what will be your answer?
Besides that, there is a higher possibility of mods in Cemu, allowing players to change the protagonist, add new visuals, and even activate a ray tracing mode that will make the visuals of your game even more stunning. Now that we've gone through the visual aspect and you know everything that Cemu can do, let's see how its performance is, how it behaves with standard graphics, and what the resource cost is to enable the best visuals the game can offer. As can be observed, the version of Cemu with all features enabled provides better graphics and overall superior performance. For comparison purposes, the average FPS at the end of each recording was 53 FPS for Cemu running the game on default settings, 47 FPS for Cemu running the game with all features at maximum, and 32 FPS for Yuzu running the game with only dynamic resolution disabled. In the low 1% setting, we have 44 FPS for Cemu on default, 40 FPS on Cemu with all options at maximum, and 31 FPS on Yuzu. It is important to remember that when playing on Cemu, you can customize each feature as you wish, until you achieve the desired FPS. This was our video, and we hope it was as clear as possible. We thank everyone who watched until the end. and see you next time.